This is very mysterious. A Ghanaian boy by the name of Israel Ashaite Kamua traveled to South Africa with a group of friends without informing his family, only to end up dead 5 days later in South Africa in one of the most mysterious circumstances you could ever imagine. When his body was transferred home, it was alleged that he unalived himself. He committed suicide. And it was almost as though his family were going to accept that claim until they got hold of a CCTV footage that shows a possibility that he did not unalive himself, and that there is a high chance that the people he went with to South Africa may have had a hand in his death. So listen, Israel himself is a graduate of Accra Technical University and he finished in 2024. He is described as a very cool, calm and respectful person. However, sometime in early 2026, he got involved with a group, with an organization, some kind of union they call Millennium Supporters Union of Ghana. This union is said to be fans of Ghanaian football team. They're a group of people who travel from countries to countries, internationally and locally, to support Ghanaian sports teams per se. They have regional branches, and I think their main goal is just to travel to countries to show support for their national teams. And early in 2026, they had a whole trip planned to go to South Africa. It's unclear which team is playing a sport there, but somehow, some way, Israel ended up planning to join them to South Africa. The only thing is that when he was planning his trip to South Africa with this Millennium Supporters group, he did not tell his family. He did not tell his mom, he did not tell his father, nor did he tell his siblings. Somehow, some way, he kept it a secret. It's unclear if he was directed to keep it a secret or if it was something that he chose to do himself. And on the 25th of March 2026, Israel traveled with the group. However, the organizer of that travel did not go with them. He stayed back in Ghana and oversaw and facilitated the trip for the union to go. And this is the moment things start getting weird. On the first day in South Africa, they said everything looked cool. Israel was chill. He was happy and he was taking pictures. But the strange change in behavior started off 3 days later on the 28th of March, where they said Israel went out with 2 men from the group to some kind of restaurant, the neighborhood of the place they went to stay in South Africa. We don't know the place yet. They just went to hang out, sat out somewhere. Could be a bar or could be a kiosk or some kind of restaurant. And while they were sitting, Israel got up and started shouting. He was shouting and acting erratic, and that attracted the South African police, who came to see what was going on with this young man making a scene. The other men with Israel told the police that nothing was wrong, that they too are just as surprised as them as to why this boy just stood up creating a scene. And that was when the police ordered them to go back to their hotel room. Now, put in mind, we only know this story because the organizer is the one telling the family, because the people who went on the trip with Israel told him. So he wasn't even there. So this is a third-hand information that he's passing out. But that's not even all. When they went back to the hotel, they had to call the organizer to tell him that, what's up? This young boy here, Israel, is acting off. He's acting funny. He created a scene today. Please speak with him to know what's up. And so the organizer quickly called Israel on a video call to find out what was wrong with him. And in the video call, he also saw Israel acting scared, acting paranoid, looking left, looking right, and at some point placed his hand between his leg and bent his head. All this reaction from the restaurant to the phone call, we still haven't heard what Israel is saying while he's screaming. Even if someone is shouting or yelling or afraid, they got to say something. What were the words? Was he just mumbling like someone who is deaf and dumb? What was he yelling and screaming? It was then said that after Israel dropped the call with the organizer, he went to his hotel room or where he's lodged, packed his bag and said he wanted to go back to Ghana, that he doesn't want to stay in South Africa anymore. It's unclear what the other guys did, but they just thought it was odd. He even packed his things and went to the airport himself. However, to fly back to Ghana, you need more than just going back to the airport. You gotta have to buy a plane ticket, which we don't know if he had bought that for himself. When he went to the airport, it was said that the South African airport authorities had to call the organizers again to come and get him out of here, because You can't just wake up and say you want to go to Ghana. It's not a bus transport station. And that was how some of the guys from the group went to the airport and brought Israel back. And at this point, it's starting to look crazy. Between that same day and the following day, he spoke to the organizer again on video call, telling the organizer that he wants to go back to Ghana, that his grandmother called him to come back. And the organizer was like, "How did your grandmother reach you?" And he said, "Okay, it's a lie. My grandmother did not call me. It's just me that want to go back. I don't want to be here again." The organizer agreed that there's no problem, that he is going to make sure he comes back to Ghana. And so they started arranging for him to come back to Ghana. But wait, this is something that I'm confused about. When Israel told the organizer that his grandmother wants him to come back, and the organizer asked him, "How did your grandmother contact you?" That is very suspicious. That is a very suspicious question. What do you mean, how did his grandmother contact him? Doesn't he have a phone? This actually shows me that maybe the organizer might have been the one who have told him to keep his traveling secret. Because for him to ask, "How did your grandmother contact you?" is a bit off, knowing that there is mobile phones everywhere. So why is he asking, "How did your grandmother contact you?" How? Well, that question to me is suspicious. But we'll come to that in a moment. So now they're making plans for Israel to go back to Ghana. The very next day, would have been the 29th, the organizer calls him and tells him that, "What's up? We tried to book a flight, but there is no available flight," that he would have to wait till the next day again. And Israel started running out of patience. And that was the moment he texted his brother in Ghana to inform him that he was in South Africa. He also told him to tell his parents where he was. But he did not end there. He sent the phone number of a lady, Edith Edison Notifafa, a staff member of Ghana Civil Aviation. Israel told his brother on the chat that this is the woman that they should hold responsible if anything happens to him, citing that it was a woman who helped him process his trip to South Africa. Also saying that the woman was his boss. He also sent pictures of himself to his brother. But when his brother wanted to do a video call, he wouldn't take the video call. And to me, that was suspicious. Why would Israel not want to do a video call with his brother? Was he afraid of something? And why would he keep sending pictures? Is there a chance that at this time Israel was already dead and it was somebody else that was sending the pictures and sending the text message? Maybe some kind of ploy to implicate somebody else, just to deviate from the organizers and the people he traveled with? Because what does Edith Edison have to do with this? If she's the one who facilitated your travel, she wasn't there on the trip with you. So why would she be blamed for it? Just so we are clear, if I didn't already state it, his communication with his brother was via text message. The same Israel that has been doing voice call and video call with his organizer in Ghana suddenly cannot do a video call with his own brother? Nah. And when the brother kept insisting on the video call, he would only send photos of himself. This looks like somebody else was on that phone, trying to water the ground and create a scenario to deviate from what the actual problem is. I would not be surprised if at this time that the brother is getting the text message, Israel was already dead. This text message to his brother may have come around the 29th and 30th. The brother did not get any response from him until the 31st of July, when the organizers went to his family in Ghana to inform them that their son, Israel, was dead, and told them that, yeah, he had died from unaliving himself. They even showed a video in some kind of bathroom-looking settings, looking rough, with some kind of bed sheets tied up somewhere in the roof of the bathroom. His body was not in the video, but it was just alleged to be the scene where he unalived himself. And it's quite interesting though, because assuming Israel had traveled without informing his parents, the organizers coming to inform his parents about his passing would have been very difficult, because first of all, they did not know that their son was in South Africa, which would make whoever was chatting with Israel's brother suspicious, because it looks like they were just watering the ground to give the family time to know that, hey, he's in South Africa, and hey, hold this person if something happens to me. And voila, the very next day, on the 31st, they are going to tell his parents that Israel is dead in South Africa. All too calculated, in my opinion. Something is smelling of fish in this story. It's looking very well orchestrated. This is giving How to Get Away with Murder. And it only gets worse when you find out that there is a CCTV footage at the lodge area where Israel was with the group that suggests that something went down. The family were willing to mostly accept their fate. We even heard or read that the father wanted to bury him once his body arrived. But when the organizer of the group began sending the family stuff, he may have sent the family CCTV footage of the last moment of Israel hanging out with the group. And in the CCTV footage, you see a group of men in some kind of dinner table eating and chatting and talking. Israel comes into the frame. Somehow he stands away from the men, but still in the group. And in one particular video, one of the men gets up, walks around the table, picks a container from the ground, hands it to Israel, and we see Israel drop the container back on the table. And it's unclear what is being said here. However, in another video that somehow suddenly starts to flicker, it's almost as if they edited this particular CCTV footage. We see all the group of men, a handful of them, gathering Israel, surrounding him, almost as though they were forcing him to eat or take something, almost as though they were shoving something down his throat. And soon they let him be, and Israel stands up and starts acting as though he's spitting out or coughing out something, which is a clear indication that they all gather to force Israel to take something. And this is the video that suggests that so much more went down in that group travel. What were they forcing him to take? Why did they have to force a whole grown 25-year-old man to take something that he did not want to take? I would have thought maybe he fell down and they were trying to help him or resuscitate him. He was standing the whole time. They gave him something and he refused to take it. And somehow, somewhere, it felt like he needed more than one person to force it down his throat. That CCTV footage is suggestive of something. And as far as I am concerned, the organizer of the travel should stop giving third-hand information. Let everyone who went on that trip be interviewed, questioned. Because I bet you, someone is going to say something, someone is going to spill, someone is going to throw the rest. You see, two can't keep a secret if one of them is dead, right? Let's see how they're going to keep that secret for so long, because something went down. What were they giving him? Was it water? Was it food? Why would you want to force water or food down a 25-year-old man's throat if you didn't put something in that food? To me, it looks like they came to that country to do something. Because I don't know what Ghanaian sports team is playing that they went to share. Because they've been there for 5 days. So is there a match going on there that the Ghanaian teams are playing? What are they there to do? Because the group is to support a Ghanaian sports team. So who did they go there to support? And why did Israel not tell his family? It's either one or two things. They have gone there to do drugs or sell drugs or export drugs, or what did they do with drugs again? Sell it or do something regarding drugs. Or Israel was a target for something and he did not want to participate. He did not want to go on again. When they noticed that he's changing his mind, they panicked, fearful that he would rout them out. And clearly, if they are doing something criminal and somebody starts misbehaving, that person has to go. And for that person to go, they would have to create a scene and a scenery to make it make sense. Israel's body returned to his family on the 8th of April. And it was said that his father, like we already said, wanted to bury him immediately. But then the police authority stopped him because an investigation is ongoing. Another autopsy, because they did the one autopsy from South Africa that claimed that, no foul play was involved and that he clearly unalived himself. But I believe an autopsy should be done again, and a toxicology report. That is going to be the most important thing in this thing. A toxicology report needs to be done, and I think that would reveal the truth. And when something suspicious is in his system that shouldn't be, everybody that went on that trip with this young man should be called to question. They should be brought out to be questioned, because you all did something to that boy. The boy saw something. The boy was worried about something. The boy did not want to take part again, he probably maybe did not even know why he was even there, because he probably thought he was going there to better his life, get jobs, but he most likely saw something and said he did not want to do again, and they were afraid that him changing his mind would put the rest of them at risk, and so they had to take him out. That is my suspicion right now, until proven otherwise. If there's an update to this story, we'll be happy to update you guys. But for now, the death of Israel is very suspicious, and I don't believe he unalived himself. But you guys let me know what you think. I also need to point out that online claims are saying that his internal organs were missing and had been taken or harvested. The parents and the family who reached out to me to tell the story did not mention that. So we would have to wait and see.